In crypto, everything that's not Bitcoin is referred to as an altcoin or alternative coin. Altcoins make up over $1.5 trillion worth of value, and some predict they'll be double that by the end of this year. Altcoin season is when the majority of altcoins outperform Bitcoin price-wise. However, altcoin prices have taken a hammering recently, and many people are asking whether we'll ever see an altcoin season again. So in the next few minutes, I'll run through what altcoin seasons have been like in the past, what's been happening in the present, and some predictions for what we may see in the future. So Trump's inauguration certainly marked a local top for the crypto market, with the price of most cryptos moving higher and higher in the months leading up to the inauguration and collapsing further and further down ever since. Interestingly though, Bitcoin's price has held strong and not fallen along with the rest of the market, keeping in the price range somewhere between $90,000 and $110,000 for the past few months. This has been an unusual situation, as Bitcoin and altcoin prices have historically moved together. In fact, usually when Bitcoin's price crabs sideways for a bit, as it has been, you tend to get what people call an altcoin season, or alt season, ALTSZN in more degen terms, right? Altcoin season is essentially where the majority of altcoins shoot up in price, and we see most altcoins outperform Bitcoin. In this period, we see generalized positive price action and pretty much around pretty much the entire crypto market, right? This is a graph of some of the previous alt seasons, and you see kind of how a lot of altcoins outperform Bitcoin during these periods, right? But we're getting less of that. We haven't seen much of an altcoin season recently. In fact, we've had the opposite, with altcoin prices and general sentiment in the market tumbling further as the space has been marred with controversy, with the most recent being the Libra meme coin. There's a lot of things coming in the meme coin side of things that have been quite controversial. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has held strong, right? So people are now asking, will we ever see an altcoin season again? This is a great question, so let's analyze it further. But before you do, if you want to set up your first crypto wallet so you can take part in a growing global crypto economy, plus access over $1,900 worth of courses entirely for free, then click in the link in the description below. Now, historically in the past bull markets, we've seen Bitcoin price rally upwards by sucking up liquidity from other tokens that either drop in price or stagnate, right? And this meme used to get floated around a lot, where it's Bitcoin coming for another pump, and the altcoins are like, no, because their prices collapse, right? Once Bitcoin's done sucking up liquidity to push it up to new heights, it begins this consolidation phase where it tends to crab sideways. Price-wise, they just sort of stays roughly stable, which is what we've seen recently, right? In this period of time, altcoins often rally, and this is where we enter altcoin season, where the majority of altcoins outperform Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin may, in this period, whereas Bitcoin may have done a 1.5 or 2x growth in its own rally, some alts will tend to jump in price much more, right? This is just an example of an altcoin season, what it can look like. You'll have some coins jumping up massively and others kind of at least jumping up relatively similarly to Bitcoin, right? In some ways, we get even, on this list, Bitcoin is even much further down with everything jumping much higher. But you can see there's a lot of green, right? In this period, it seems like the gains from Bitcoin kind of flow out into the altcoin space, and this rising tide lifts all boats, right? Everyone feels like a winner, both Bitcoin holders and altcoin holders. It's a marvelous time, altcoin season. And it's exactly this moment that most of the space has been waiting for the past several months. However, during the past couple of years, ever since we got out of the horrible bear market of 2022, marked by huge crashes like Terra Luna, FTX, Celsius, and more, we've seen Bitcoin grow steadily higher from the lows of around $17,000 in early 2023 to around $100,000 where we're at around now. Yet in that same time, we haven't really seen any real corresponding altcoin season as we had in the past, where the rising tide lifted all boats, right? So there's, waiting for the tide to come. Instead, we've seen a massive growth in meme coin gambling over in the Solana ecosystem, with meme coins becoming a huge part of the space nowadays. Plus, we've seen small pockets of specific narratives like ordinals and AI agents. They, get their time in the limelight, and then once the interest fades, the prices fall along with them too. And in the most recent months, we've seen Bitcoin hold really strong and crab price-wise, as I've already said, while the entire altcoin market has fallen around it. It's done the opposite of what we've usually seen. One particular measure that helps to think about how well Bitcoin is doing against altcoins is called Bitcoin dominance, which reflects how much of the overall entire crypto market is represented by Bitcoin's market cap alone, right? And as you can see, this has been steadily rising and rising over, the more recent amount of time, right? There's many theories as to why this has happened. Two of the strongest theories that I've personally seen are, one, we're now at the point where there's just an infinitely large supply of new tokens and coins in crypto, with thousands of new tokens being created every single day, especially meme coins. So there's just too many coins now, and it's no longer possible for Bitcoin, the Bitcoin tide to lift up all boats, right? Two, Bitcoin has grown to a new level of financial importance with the introduction of ETFs and other tools in the traditional financial system where people can buy Bitcoin, access it much more easily. So it's not necessarily subject to the same mostly speculative forces of the crypto market and has begun to align itself perhaps more with TradFi. There's still a possibility that this is just a momentary blip and we'll still come back to seeing booming altcoin seasons once again. But obviously, as we haven't been seeing them, there's some theories going around. So, what could the future look like? Let's start by saying the obvious, which is that the future is impossible to predict, right? However, if we were to take a guess and, we could potentially see a few futures emerging. Number one, we've not actually been in a full-blown bull market since 2021, with 2022 collapse. Ever since, we've not really kind of had that. Bitcoins began to pick up interest with TradFi, and so maybe this year and beyond, or probably this year, we'll see Bitcoin still getting a big growth stint of growth, and the old pattern repeating itself with altcoins booming and Bitcoin's dominance falling since altcoins have dropped a lot during altcoin season. It's still possible that we'll get that. Or number two, we could see this new normal where Bitcoin rising only lifts up a few set of boats, right? Not all the boats. So instead of having a full-blown altcoin season or alt season, we see this rotation of narratives and attention that we've seen so far, right? Where perhaps AI agents or meme coins are getting the most focus, and those go up in price. But essentially you get these kind of mini altcoin seasons around the space, but Bitcoin dominance maintains, right? And another third thing that we could potentially see is the 4-year cycle pattern breakdown as Bitcoin becomes almost a separate entity from the rest of crypto, since it's being used as a financial hedge by traditional finance. Altcoins end up forming their own new mechanism that drive price growth that aren't so strongly correlated to Bitcoin's price, right? That's another potential future scenario. This is a fun meme of what happens generally with altcoins, where they wait to see what Bitcoin will do next before they either go up or down, right? Now, I have no idea what the future holds, but I don't think Bitcoin's 4-year cycle will break down and that altcoins of Bitcoin will move in separate directions, at least not yet, right? That could change in the coming years, and it's already beginning to change a little bit, right? I do think, though, that we'll see more of point 2 than point 1. In other words, we see less regular altcoin seasons where all ships are lifted and everything tends to go up, and instead we get these narratives, different narratives that help different subsections of crypto to rise at different moments of time, right? If all of this has left you unsure about how to interpret the market, then I suggest rereading or rewatching my post on portfolio management from a couple of weeks ago so that you can withstand these rough moments and position yourself appropriately, right? While we may never see a full-blown altcoin season again, there's no doubt this space is just going to grow from strength to strength, and the overall crypto market will keep growing and growing. I'm personally very optimistic about what's to come. It's impossible to predict the short term, but in the future, I'm sure the whole market will grow. Now, as I said earlier on, if you want to set up your first crypto wallet so that you can take part in the growing global crypto economy, plus access over $1,900 worth of courses entirely for free, then click in the link in the description below, and I'll catch you there.